Hi, I'm Deb, and this is my big backyard, where everything is in the bag or all grown up. Come on, let's get going. I have this theory that birds and gardeners can coexist if you have enough food for everyone. So here I've planted a lot of vegetables and fruits and herbs and flowers with seeds that the birds like, plus I feed them. I also want to attract beneficials here. I want to attract bees, and I want to have other kinds of ladybugs and different things that help my garden as well. I wanted to create an environment where the birds would be happy and we would be happy. So I created in the middle a centerpiece of flowers, natural flowers where they could feed and we could feed. So there's flowers that are of interest to them with seeds, and then I've got some squash that's coming up on these teepees. But really the biggest thing for me this year is that I've decided to go with grow bags instead of going in the ground. Why? Because I'm not sure with my soil the different kinds of things that I dealt with at the end of the summer last year, and then also I love to experiment. So what I did is that this year I have planted all kinds of different things in these grow bags that are felt based, which help the roots so that they can self-prune themselves. So in the blue bag here I've got 3 different varieties of peppers. I have some garlic here, and believe it or not, I did plant garlic in the spring. I know you're supposed to do it in the fall. I know these will be smaller, but I wanted to see if they would grow. I have leeks in this other one over here, and exploding in this orange bag are potatoes. They're new potatoes, the purple ones and the red ones. They're delicious, and will they grow or not? I'm pretty sure they sure look good now, don't they? For example, in here I've grown carrots and peas together in one of these grow bags. I wanted to give it a go and see what would happen. It's unusual because the carrots, as you see, are very healthy and coming in. The peas not so much, and I planted those at the end of March. But we've had a very strange season here in Chicago, and as we know in gardening, it's all experimentation. Being a recycler, a composter, and a vermicomposter, I don't like to throw anything away. So this year what I decided to do is to go through some of our old stuff and see what could be used in the gardening, especially things that we were planning to either give away or to dispose of. So one of the things I thought of, why not give it a go? This is an old paint ladder that I have scarlet runner beans coming up, which adds an interest to the garden. I also had an old wheelbarrow rusted out that I thought, I have this wheelbarrow, it's taking up space, why not see what else can happen with it? So what I did is that I put squash in the wheelbarrow. Of course, we had to put holes in the bottom. We drilled it up. We put some pebbles on the bottom and some other cloth to make sure that the drainage was okay. But these look pretty good, don't you think? And also what I have done here, which this is a big experiment, is that I have pumpkin that I'm also trying to grow here, which the idea is if it'll go, it'll come down this little ramp here and wend around the garden. And we're going to see if that goes, but at this point all these seem to be going very well. They need to be watered every day, but if you keep the soil full of compost and of the nutrients that they need, look at how well they're doing in this container. I like to use every possible space to grow something in my garden, and so this year I tried something differently, a lean-to situation, so that I could multi-purpose an old fence here, and then also with a box I'm growing out cucumbers that are going to climb up the fence. Underneath I've got some kale and some other lettuces. So in this small area in this part of my yard I have 5 different kinds of vegetables growing companion with flowers in a very small space. About a decade ago we bought this chimenea and it's never worked, and since then it's sat under our porch taking up space. So this year I thought, since I'm doing a reclaim, repurpose theme in my garden area, I would take it out and see what I could grow in it. And my thought was, why not try pumpkins? And so I filled it up with a mixture of potting soil and compost, planted some pumpkin seeds. It's facing, it gets sun in the midday, and well, obviously enough, and look at that, it's growing. This year, instead of putting them in the ground, I decided to put all my herbs in a reclaimed wash basin, repurposed from a place I got in the catalog. And like the wheelbarrow, I had to drill holes in the bottom, put some pebbles on, and I'm using a soilless mix. They're taking off very well. I walk right out the kitchen door when I'm preparing a meal. I take a little snip of whatever herb I'm needing, and voila. In my garden, I like to grow things in space-saving and water conservational ways. And one of the things that I've seen over the years that I liked and wanted to try is something called an earth box. And what an earth box is it's great. It's this kind of a container where it has a water reservoir underneath. You put your soil in and then it wicks up. Now over with the earth box, it has a little area where you put the water in here, and that is where you have to keep it full. You can't not pay attention to it, but it is not the same as the containers that I have to water every day. This one does take care of itself. And look at this. On here are my black cherry indeterminate tomatoes, which the idea is for them to come up and grow up over the arbor here. And then on the other side, I have some beans, some red fava beans, and then also some moonflowers that are going to come up over the other side and meet it. Won't that be pretty? Speaking of tomatoes, we have them all over the yard, and these are my indeterminates that I grew from seed in the basement under the lights. I have here, see, they're already starting to come in. The black crim, I've got some beefsteak and brandywine that'll get huge, provide huge big tomatoes. And because I'm a vermicomposter and I use my worm compost with them, they're very, very healthy, and hopefully that'll help ward away some of the pest problems I had last year. Also in this area, it's small, but I like to put as much in as possible. Along with the tomatoes, I'm growing 2 sets of orange peppers because I like it. And behind this is a butterfly bush that goes wild. I have to keep it, but it comes in beautifully and brings in more of the ecosystem that I'm after. I really went container crazy this year, and it's a huge, huge experiment, but I didn't want to put blueberries in the ground, so I'm trying them in a container and have been working with the pH, and so far so good. I also did not want to deal with strawberries in the ground this year because of my small space, so I found an old red tub underneath the porch, and I'm experimenting to see if they'll produce. So far so good. We had these old containers here that it's on its 3rd year of these boxes. We're doing a modified square foot gardening approach with this, in that we've cordoned off a foot area of it, and in it I'm growing my I have 2 eggplants that are doing well, again in a soilless mix. I've got beets, and over here are the broccoli that is starting to go. I love trees. I love fruit trees and different kinds of things. So this year in containers I am growing, this is a sour cherry tree which I got, and as you can see it's just starting, and again, I don't know what's going to happen with it, but if it does get bigger I'll put it into the yard. This is a fig tree that I take, this is its 2nd year of that I've had it. A friend gave it to me as a cutting, and this one I do take in and out, and it'll stay out through this season, and then I'll bring it in the winter months so they can go into dormancy. I also along here have grapes. That my idea for my grapes is that they're going to come in and that they're going to fill up this fence. Now, a lot of people I've talked to, some have done that with success, some have not. It's all a matter of the training and the pruning. So the grapes are new this year, and when we get going, if everything works out, along this side I will have tomatoes, I will have peppers, I will have cherries, I will have figs, I will have grapes, and plus all these beautiful flowers. Because I had so many tomatoes that went well from seed, I had these Romas that I didn't know what to do with them. So I looked around under my porch and I found, well, I had some burlap bags. So I said, why not give that a go? And so this year I know that that'll just last 1 year, but I wanted to see if they would indeed grow in a bag, because with the tomatoes I didn't want to put any tomatoes in the ground, because last year we did find some hornworms in the ground and I just didn't want to deal with it again. So I did a soilless mix, and these are also growing very well within this. What I have done to deal with the water issues of these is that I mulch it, and then I also put like top dressings on it to help contain the water. And the water issue, I do have to water these every day or every other day, but I get up early in the morning and I do it with a watering can. So I feel very good about that in my conservational practices, because the rain barrels, the two of them that I have, really come in handy. Finally, back here, this is where I used to grow my tomatoes, and they grew quite well, actually. But again, I told you I had different kinds of issues, so I wanted to switch things up. And so I've decided instead to grow a raspberry patch, and I have some currants as well, because I enjoy the fresh fruits, and I know that the birds are going to want to eat them, but you know, the more the merrier. I'm planting a lot. Over here I have the big mammoth sunflower plants, because I know they love those seeds. Again, in my backyard, my theory is that if you plant enough for everyone, everyone will get a little or a lot, depending. And at this point, so far, it's going very well. If I do have other issues as I get going, I'll talk about them. But right now, we're coexisting. Thanks for coming to my big backyard, where bagging it is a good thing. See you next time.